Great evening. Thank you so much for joining Mingo. As a member, this is part of a coaching session. This is our fourth out of four sessions with Coach J. Michael Sherman here on Facebook. And we will be getting started shortly. Just wanted to say thank you for everyone that supported. And we still have a special gift that we want to give out, which we will be doing this week between this Thursday and next Thursday this week to everyone. I'll put it in the group so that you can download it and take a look and get more information from myself and Coach Sherman. And tonight we are going to be dealing with, hello, Kelvin. We're going to be dealing with starting again. And definitely, I'm sure as someone that is single, we have all had to start over because you go through relationships, you find out it's not for you, and then you go through another relationship. So starting over is something that we definitely do. And again, I took a survey on last week and I realized that we have more true singles, those that have never been married at all. But that doesn't mean you haven't had to start over. So definitely this is an exciting topic, and I'll introduce our coach. Good evening. Introduce our coach as we wait for him to come on. J. Michael Sherman is the senior pastor of Covenant Family Church here in Augusta. He is a life coach, not just a singles coach, a life coach. And let me add you on. He is here. He is a coach, a senior pastor of Covenant Family Church, CEO of Sherman Consultancy and Coaching, a motivational speaker. Hello.
Hey, how
As
you doing,
well
fam?
as he is married to the lovely Aisha, and they have four beautiful children. So we are getting started this evening. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to go ahead and post those, whether you're watching live or in the replay. And we will get your information before we get started, Coach Sherman. If you'll let them know how to get in contact with you here on Facebook as well as offline.
Yes, indeed. On Facebook, you can get in touch with me by going to facebook.com Sherman Coaching, and you'll come right to my page. If you are off of Facebook, you can certainly email me at jordansherman@icloud.com. It's the best way to get in touch with me. I'll respond pronto, and we'll get you started from there.
All right. So he is not just a singles coach, as I mentioned before. He has experience in life coaching in many different areas. So
Yes.
definitely if you've been looking for a coach, he is the one. And if you haven't started following him here on Facebook, you can click on the description. His name should be highlighted and you'll be able to go to his page directly. All right. So we're going to get started with starting over. And I'm sure everyone has had to start over at least one time from a relationship, and just want to give you a little room to explain and just give us some insight.
Yes, indeed. Well, the first thing I'll say is that starting over, as you indicated, is certainly something that everybody has to do at some point or the other. So, some of what I'll say will be generalized to that degree. But specifically, starting over with regards to love is very specific, and it takes courage, it takes strength, mental strength, you know? And I think the first thing that I really kind of wanted to explore about this idea of starting over is the mental strength that it takes to begin again. Depending on what your previous situation was like, it can really be hard. For instance, I had a young man that I was giving a consultation to last week. He's 35 years of age and he's recently been divorced, about 7 months now. Out of the divorce, he ended up with his two kids and living with his parents. So he's ready to date again, but his biggest obstacle right now is that he feels like he doesn't have a whole lot to offer. And so it was important for me to bring him to a certain point where he could excel regardless of what that was that he had experienced or that he had gone through, to not identify himself as a failure and carry that type of defeatist mentality with him right out the gate with the conversation of dating. I was trying to jumpstart him to understand that it's going to be a head game, not negating that he needed to work on what he needed to work on. It's a head game.
Right.
Courage. Courage is mental strength, it's mental fortitude. And that's the first ingredient that we'll all need, regardless of what point we're at in the game with starting over. Courage.
Excellent, excellent. And so, also, as part of that courage and encouraging him was just being patient with yourself, because you if you've learned anything from the previous relationship, then definitely is things that you want to keep and improve upon, and things that you may have learned from and you want to get away from. So, definitely being
Yes.
patient with yourself.
Yes, most definitely. Being patient with ourselves is key for sure. But off to the good stuff, shall we?
Okay.
I feel like that type of stuff is certainly important, but that's a given. Mental strength and fortitude. The next thing is, I think it's important that we go at this with an attitude of fun. It's just so interesting to me how disturbed people tend to be when they're talking about dating. Like there's a lot of anxiety around it. And I think that dating is one of those things that, especially, at any point in a relationship, but especially at that explorative, is that a word? Yeah, I think I can say that. At that exploration stage in a relationship, that's what I'm looking for. I think dating is one of those things that should be fun. So I would suggest to the person who's starting over to maybe, in whatever wonderful way that you choose to, make a list not only of what you're looking for in a person, that's important, but for the type of activities that you would like to do with the person. Like, what is your ideal type of date? I think it's important that we have a little fun scripting something unusual and then building a certain framework around that.
Okay. That's very
Interesting stuff, huh?
interesting. Yes, very interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
So most people are
Yes.
not given that as advice. The list making and looking for your soulmate or whatever you want to call it. But definitely, what do you do before you get to that step? Very
Hmm.
interesting. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. If we build a certain framework around it, it ends up pulling us into a position where we update our habits of life. A lot of times we don't meet people because we live life in a beaten routine. But when you start fantasizing a little bit about what you would like to do, the ideal places that you would like to go, you actually kind of start romanticizing yourself into maybe getting into those type of environments, changing up your routine, and that's going to be a huge part for getting started again.
Excellent. Okay. So doing something different. Let me make myself a note now to get out of my routine.
Yes, yes, yes.
It definitely is something that coming out of the comfort zone and just realizing that as you're healing, you do need to do something different so you won't get stuck in a rut. So definitely good advice. What's our next step?
Well, I think beyond, um, well, let's see, let's qualify this again. The first thing is having an idea of what you want. The second thing is updating your routines, having fun with this concept, getting into this pattern of living life as opposed to life living you, so to speak. And the
Right.
concept there is that people that you are interested in will likely be interested in the things you're interested in. Does that make sense?
Right.
You have a better chance of meeting them in places that you're being your true self. If you enjoy yoga, let's just use that for an example. You stand a chance of meeting somebody in a yoga class who enjoys yoga, and there you go. You have something in common, or whatever it is that you enjoy, church or whatever. But the next thing is you have to be open to the idea of starting something new and doing something new even in the dating. So we've talked about updating your routines and getting yourself in a certain place, but like even in dating, you have to be open to trying something new. So that may mean online dating for you. That may mean this idea, as we were talking about earlier, of what was it, multiple dating, and that
Right.
was
Right.
interesting. A lot of people kind of fell back from that, but you've got to be open to that, trying something new. People are different depending on how long it's been since you've been on the market, since you've been at this dating game. You'll find that people are a lot different nowadays. They seem to be very expressive, they seem to be very liberal, they seem to be open to trying things and doing things, and perhaps have done things. And you have to be a little bit more open minded than you're used to being in the traditional dating sense. You have to remember you're trying to get to know somebody new. So open-mindedness there. And the last point that I would say, my fourth point, is to be open to love. It's amazing to me how many people date and they say that they're interested in something and then they meet it and they don't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
So it is possible that, we can be saying we want something and we're going after it and then it slaps us in the face and it overwhelms us. I get that. But you have to be open to what you're saying you want, and this
Right.
may be for the person who, they've been going at this for a while and it's like nobody answers them, nobody's good enough. You got to really do some soul searching to make sure, like, are you really open to love, or do you just want this concept and this idea of dating or having fun? Be clear with yourself, because if you're open to that love, you're likely going to experience it and find it in these dating scenarios.
And so, what do you say to the person that may be in that situation, but it may be more so fear of going into a new relationship? Maybe they don't think they've healed enough, or whatever the reason is. But a lot of times we don't do things out of fear.
Well, let's talk about that. How do you deal with fear? And there are a lot of different theories about it, but what it really comes down to is confronting that you're afraid of. And so one step at a time, you're going to have to break that fear by just getting out there and doing it. Like Nike says, just do it. You're going to have to break the fear by just doing it. Now, that just doing it may not need to be alone. Consider group dating. See, here again is something different, something
Right.
unique. We didn't talk about this in any of our episodes, but what is the value of speed dating? Hey, that might be something new for us in certain cultures, but consider something new, and you may find that there's a breakthrough there with that fear.
Right, right. Okay. So group dating definitely is something that is interesting, but the speed dating has become popular more so in larger cities than smaller cities. And it is a great way to meet people in a large environment. It's almost like group dating too. But you do get to meet a lot of different people in that type of environment. So
Hmm.
you talked about courage, being open-minded, open to love. And what else do we need to be doing as we are starting over?
Well, I think that we've got a good running start for starting over. If the challenge is still remaining after you've come to a place where you're clear on what you want, you've updated your routines, you're probably not open to experiencing what you say you want, and there's just a little bit more soul work to be done there, or personal development. We can't deny the fact. Let's go back to the young man I was consulting with. Um, Last week. We can't deny the fact that there's a certain part of you, your self-worth, that nobody can give you. You have to feel that, your self-confidence. And a lot of times in that starting over, we're just, again, dealing with courage. We're dealing with a certain mentality of not feeling worthy for what it is that we say we want. So you may need to continue to work on yourself, feed yourself the right type of substance that suggests you are worthy for the love, worthy for the ideal scenario. So sometimes we are discouraged from our loves, discouraged from our fantasies or our romanticizing about certain things. You know, it's your journey, it's your dream of life, and you shouldn't let anybody discourage you from your vision. So spend a little bit more time with yourself there until you can overcome your blocks and your fears. And I promise you that, in my experience at least, spending time with yourself will really, really allow for clarity for you to see what's hindering me in this transition. Why am I really not taking this leap? Why am I really getting to these certain points where I'm experiencing these glass ceilings or these roadblocks? And if you can't figure it out on your own, call a coach. I'd love to help you.
All right, that is definitely a good place for you to repeat how they can get in touch with you. We are doing Singles Let's Talk with Coach J. Michael Sherman, and how can they get in
Mhm.
touch with you?
Again, if you're on Facebook, go right to my page, and that's Sherman Coaching. So facebook.com/Sherman Coaching. If you're not on Facebook, you can email me, jordansherman@icloud.com, and I'll respond pretty promptly. But I'm pretty visible on Facebook, pretty easy to get in touch with. You can follow me at J. Michael Sherman on Facebook, and I would love to chat or dialogue with you in any way that I can to support you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, as a coach, getting started, how do I really know that I'm at a point where I more so need to be coached than, just do a little more personal work on my own?
I think foremost in that you just keep experiencing these type of epic moments of setbacks and frustrations within yourself, anxiety or whatever you call it. You're experiencing something where you just can't really, seem to figure this thing out on your own. You try it, you get choked up, you lose momentum, you lose heart. It may be time to talk to some people, talk to somebody, whether it's a life coach or therapist or whatever. Sometimes you realize that it's hard. It's just hard. And I think that this is why we have communities of people, coaches, elders in our community, pastors, people who've been there, done that, that sometimes you can talk to, and they'll help you find perspective. And oftentimes that takes pressure off. And when that pressure is off and that perspective is there, you usually can see your way a little clearer and figure it out for yourself. And that's what it's really about, helping you figure it out for yourself. And when you're at that place, you feel it, you're trying, you're really trying, man. You're trying to apply everything you know to apply, and it's just not working. That's the time to reach out.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, if you all have any questions on this or any topic about being single, definitely go ahead and put it in the comments so that we can respond to it. Well, so that Coach Sherman can respond to it. And definitely starting over and just keeping in mind that we're not a finished product, that we are still a work in progress. There are things that we need to work on, things that we need to focus on, whether we're currently in a relationship or whether we're transitioning and starting a new relationship, whichever our status is, and just being comfortable with who you are. Many people
Hmm.
have an issue with being single, especially the age thing. More so, women have more pressure, I think, than men as far as being single at a certain age with no children and you've never been married. So our population here on Bingo is more so they've never been married. They're truly single. So it's a big deal when we come to a place where we think you talked about fantasizing. You have a fantasy of what you should be doing at a particular age, and you have goals, and it's just not working out that way. So, as
Hmm.
far as that is concerned, moving forward with that courage you talked about, how can I get past it? And it is usually subconscious. Get
Hmm.
past the thought of not being able to fulfill, I guess, a timeline per se of not being single any longer.
It's in short called a law of revision. Have fun revising your vision. Go back and rewrite it. And this happens to the best of us. With any worthy goal that's set, you're going to reach these setbacks. And maybe in your mind, you saw your goal as being a straight line, and in reality, it was up and down and all over the place. And you have to make adjustments with that type of stuff. So, we set our goals, we set our intentions, we have our visions, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And that's what we're talking about. And see, this type of talk we're having right now, sometimes this is the value of a coach or upline with a mentor or someone, because they help you find perspective and take some of that pressure off. So the person who scripted their whole life and said, by this age, I'm going to be married and I'm
Right.
going to have the white picket fence and I'm going to have the cat and the dog and the goldfish. And they're that age times two. And not only have they not experienced that, they've not even
Right.
come close. I can understand how frustrating that could be. Please understand, I feel like I've experienced that myself, starting out with my vision so clear, going all right, and everything going all left. Okay.
Right.
And so you're left then to have to find it within yourself to begin again, even if that's slow, to have fun revising. Hey, fam, have fun revising your vision. And hey, it's your life, baby. It's your
Right.
life.
Right. So the
Sometimes
revision
those
part.
goals huh?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes those goals that we set at that age and stage were according to that age and stage. And
Right.
it is such a blessing to be able to mature and realize, man, I don't know what I was on. I thought there was a time I thought I wanted to marry Holly Berry, and that was really in my vision. Okay, I digress. I'm back.
Oh Lord, she might be coming back, but we won't go into that. So definitely having in our minds, like you said, being open, but realizing and accepting where we are. You know, if you
Yes,
had a certain age that you were supposed to be doing a certain thing, just accepting where you are, and like you said, revising what the plan was, not giving up on what you're looking
yes,
for, and moving forward. And sometimes we don't want to move forward in what we have planned. We don't want to change it. We want it to be concrete, and we want it to be done in the timeline we've set. So
yes,
definitely being open minded and working through that with a coach definitely would be a good thing, because it will help us rearrange what we think we want. Because when I came to the realization that what I was told was the American dream, that's not what I'm looking for. So when I realized that, and I had to revise what I really wanted, it brought me to a whole nother place. And then with my children being at a certain age, that even added to it. So I really had to revise where I was and where I wanted to go. So being
yes,
open to that and having someone,
yes,
even, that revelation, okay, I definitely really have to start over. And not just because of a relationship, because I thought I wanted a particular thing, and then I realized what that entailed, and I really don't.
yes. My wife and I, and we're not ashamed to admit it, we're both second time marriages. And so coming out of a failed marriage and having to begin again,
Right,
we found it important to really, talk through those disappointments, those frustrations, to take a lot of the pressure off and give permission within the context of our marriage for us to learn and to grow each other. And it became a situation for us where we found that the courage to begin again wasn't just applicable to single people having to start again at a heartbreak or disappointment, but even to us, even within our marriage, we've realized it takes so much courage to revise those plans. If you're
right.
not careful, you'll be in a new situation trying to operate with that programming and those ideals from the previous situation. So we realized not only that we had to revise our plan coming together, we have to continually revise our plan because we don't even realize how much some of those things are still in there
Right.
psychologically. It takes a lot of courage to begin again because you're having to really suggest to yourself that what you thought it would be is not. And that could be devastating. But there's another part to that statement. What you believe could be can be. Imagination does create reality, and you can have so much fun there creating for yourself what you desire and what you want. Let's get started.
All right. So, what do you suggest that we can get started doing tonight?
Tonight, clarify your intentions. Point one,
Hmm.
be clear on not only the kind of person you want, but be clear on the kind of things that you would like to do with this person, the kind of activities you would like to experience with this person. This is a big deal. Tonight, you can get started with that. No matter where you are, you can clarify for yourself your intentions. Okay, what would this look like? What would it be like if I was on my ideal date? Romanticize, fantasize. Who told you can't dream? Have fun with it tonight.
And then remember what you are fantasizing. So when you're asked, where would you like to go and what would you like to do, you'll
You
remember
have
that
something
stuff,
to
right?
contribute. And
Right.
not only would you have something to contribute from your fantasy, but hopefully you're beginning to act on your own fantasies. Remember, we talked about how you'll begin to set a framework for your life around this. You'll update your routines around your own fantasy. So
Right.
if I fantasize about somebody that I could, I don't know, go and do yoga with, let me just use that again, it would begin to pull me into a position where I have to begin to check out yoga classes. Does that make
Right.
sense? I begin to frame my life around my own fantasy of what I'm beginning to want to experience with somebody. And I think that's powerful when you begin to give yourself permission to break those static, boring routines where there's nobody there but you and your people that you don't like.
Right. Okay, so clarifying, and definitely remember, like you used the example of you and your wife, letting go of what did not work. And sometimes we
Yes.
don't want to let that go because, maybe it'll work in this relationship, but let it go. If it didn't work, if it comes back around, fine. But if it didn't work, again, we want to learn from whatever happened so that we can move forward and grow. and
Yes.
growing not only in a relationship, but growing ourselves so we'll be prepared for what we're fantasizing about is always beautiful. So you said
Yes.
clarify what we want, and then we're fantasizing. And will you give the 4 points again for those that are just coming on?
Yes. Well, that second point, well, let me start over. The first point again is clarify your intentions, what you want in a person, number one, and also what you would like to do with this person. Okay. Number two, begin to frame your life around your own fantasies. Begin to become your ideal of what you want and what you're desiring. If you want to meet said person in said place, begin to be the kind of person who actually goes to said place because they enjoy being at said place. The third thing is once you're actually in this swing of dating, be open to having fun. Don't make dating boring. Don't make dating marriage. Don't make dating serious. Keep dating fun. Fun. Hopefully, some of those ideas and those fantasies you was floating around up there will come out in the dating experience. You'll go horseback riding or stargazing or whatever your fantasies it consisted of. And the last thing is be open. Point number four, be open to the love that you've been romanticizing about. For heaven's sake, don't get through all of that. Love is staring you right in the face, and you say, nah, I got some more people to check out. Wait a minute. If love meets you on date number one with person number one, you see, be open to that is what I'm trying to say. A lot of times we have too many rules, and that's why I tried to simplify this. And I don't think love comes so clear cut and packaged as such. So I tried to be very clear. Be open. Be open. I think you'll find some good stuff along the way. I hope you do. I did.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. So definitely not being fearful of needing to move on to the next person. So that definitely is a good point because it could be the first person. So
Hmm.
wonderful. So I definitely hope everyone got something out of tonight's coaching session. For this is our second one for June. We've done four, and they are
Hmm.
all still posted here in the group. And again, if you know some singles and they are not members yet, you can go ahead and invite them so they can be added to the group, as well as go ahead and share what you've learned, put it into practice. Start doing any of the things out of the four coaching sessions that we've had with Coach Sherman because it has been some great information. And definitely want you to leave your feedback here in this video as well as in the group as to what you learned, what you're going to put into practice within the next couple of days. And again, we'll have the gift ready for download this week in the group.
Yes.
And definitely, he gave some great information. So just being courageous enough to start over and to move forward, learning to love
Yes.
yourself and do what it takes in order to be productive in the next relationship. And sometimes we
Yes.
need that meeting different people creates that growth that all of us need. So we're ready for the
Yes.
person we're looking for. All right. In the
Yes. Yes. Yes.
closing, share with us, Coach Sherman, just some takeaways or something that you would like for us to do this week.
Okay, well, again, we gave this one something that everybody can participate in tonight. Clarify your intentions, will you? Clarify your intentions. And the last thing I'll leave you with is consider a coach. Consider the value of sitting with someone that could motivate you and keep you pushing along your way with your goal. For me, a coaching relationship looks like a person having a coachable goal, something that we can measure, and that means that they've spent some time with themselves to say, hey, this is what I would like to accomplish, and we can set a timeline on it. And this gives us an opportunity to hold each other accountable to some measuring, to some standards, and to really see some growth. And sometimes you need that. It doesn't have to be a long relationship. It can be as long as you need it to be for you. There's always going to be a fee with these type of relationships, but it's worth the investment. And again, I would say consider it. You don't have to consider it with me. There are a lot of great people out here. Maybe I've just been the one to introduce you to this concept, and if that's the case, then that's fine. Our good
So definitely coaching. And if you need a female coach, his wife is a coach. She's also in the chat as well, AS Best, here on Facebook. Some women feel more comfortable with women, but as he said, you can definitely find a coach. There are many groups on Facebook if you're needing to get someone in your local area. But I'm sure you could do something face to face, even through video, right, Coach Sherman?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so no matter where you are, you can be coached, and definitely it's worth at least one session so that you can get a feel for who you are and where you want to go, and just get some direction and some goals. So definitely, we appreciate you sharing with us in these 4 sessions, and we are looking forward to what you will be posting on your page. And as always, remember that I love you. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you in the group. Thank you for joining us.